Hey everyone, it's Chelsea, and today I'm going to be making a video just kind of talking, ranting, and just being real with you. So basically, it all has to deal with my job in the retail. Basically, working at malls, things like that. Obviously, you can work retail at freestanding stores, but this is kind of, I guess it doesn't really have to do with the fact that I worked at the mall. Actually, I'll probably throw a little bit of mall stories in there too, but basically, this is just going to be me ranting about working in retail and why, if you can avoid it, sometimes you probably should. There is a reason why people rant about retail so much and why there's kind of this stigma of oh, it's retail, things like that, or people will be like, oh yeah, I worked retail, and that's because it's rough. First of all, the pay is terrible. You are getting underpaid more than you have, more than you know. So basically, my experience was working at a kids shoe store. And I'm not going to say any names or anything like that because although I do have a freedom of speech, I don't have when you go around bashing companies, there are laws protecting them to some sort of degree, and I don't want to get into any sort of trouble with that, just because I want to express my opinion, but I don't want to get into any sort of issues with a big corporation, which happens sometimes. And it's crazy to think that big corporations even have time to filter through videos like this. And it's just kind of if you don't want people bashing your company, then make it the best you can be. Be the best, have the best treatment as far as a corporation goes. But mine wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't very good. Okay, so basically, worked at a kids shoe store for about a year, a little bit over a year. I started in July and then on to the next year worked until August. So very long time, especially in retail. A year is a long time. A lot of people work for a couple months or just work seasonally or things like that, but your girl was going for a year. Okay, so basically I got the job there because my friend got a job there and she recommended me to the manager, and it was going to be fun. We were going to be working together, blah, blah, blah. As far as working in retail goes, you are the company's bitch, basically. I'm just going to lay it out like that because that's as real as I can be. You do everything. My title was sales associate, but I did a shit ton more than sales. And I'm sorry I'm cursing so much. It just kind of makes me angry looking back on it because I feel kind of stupid for working there for so long and being so undertreated and undermined. And yeah. So basically, me and my friend were the ones getting paid the least. When I started, I live in Florida. We got paid minimum wage, which was $7.69. So I was getting paid $7.69 for everything, for making sales, for staying late and having to clean the whole frickin' store, for cleaning the bathroom, for restocking the shelves in the back, doing all this stuff, climbing these ridiculous ladders, working in some pretty dangerous conditions. If you want to know some dangerous conditions, I understand there's a lot more dangerous jobs out there, and I understand, but working in a shoe store is very dangerous, especially when your store isn't up to code like mine was. And taking the bank deposits, just because I had a car, automatically they're like, oh, you got to go take the bank deposit. I'm just like, could someone have asked me? That's a huge responsibility, And at the time, I was only 17, and bending over backwards for people, because that's our company's motto, basically, is just bending over backwards for people. We are the Publix of the shoe stores, and yeah, so it was definitely a lot, and I was only getting paid $7. And what was really annoying was coming to find out that everyone in the store was getting paid a lot more than I was, which obviously, I'm a new person, and I understand I was getting paid minimum wage because, I was new and it's retail and that's what happens. But it was just annoying at the fact that there was no opportunity to grow. The only time I got a raise was when they bumped me up to $7.93 because that's what the minimum wage changed to. And that was after a long time of working there. That's probably after like 6 months of working there. So 6 months of getting paid pennies on the dollar for a lot more work than just being a sales associate. Now, I understand when it comes to working in any job, not just retail, you're going to be asked to do stuff that is not necessarily in your job description, stuff that you have to do because it's just like everyone has to do it. But I definitely think the company should make that known and not it, be like, oh, okay, well, we're going to hire you as a sales associate, but understand there's going to be other tasks involved. Are you okay with that? There's never an asking if that's okay. Is it okay for you to freaking go outside to this creepy dumpster and like have to go and there was like a compactor for the cardboard? Like, what if I wasn't okay with that? What if I don't want to be working with that kind of machinery? Like, you know what I'm saying? What if I don't want to be scaling a wall? Like, sometimes because the ladders back there were not up to code and so crappy, I had to climb the walls, like climb on wood, like blah, blah, blah. Like, it was awful. And one of the girls while I was working there, she had an issue. It hurt her ankle really bad and had to do Workman's Comp. And I'm not going to say too much because that's like, that's like legal stuff. I can't really say too much on it. But let's just say when she came back, the manager didn't want to fire her because she'd be able to get like unemployment or something like that. So she wanted her to quit, so she just made her life miserable. Like, that is how they treated people. Like, she hurt herself, did the whole Workman's Comp, and then as she came back, trying to get back into work, she just didn't give her any hours. And when she did get hours, she left like the shittiest jobs, like like if there was a sale change, like in a store there's like a sale change, you got to change all the signs, redo tags, things like that, she would leave that for her, just ridiculous stuff, and make her like do all the socks, which, I mean, socks, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, like having to just take socks out of a bag and put them up, but of course we weren't organized, so there were socks all over the freaking place, and we had to go like hunt them down and put them up and put sale tags on them, scan them, make sure it's right. Just, things that sound like easy, and you walk into a retail store and you're like, oh, this is cool, buy your stuff and go. Well, there's actually a lot of work that went behind that kind of stuff, and it's very underappreciated, and it's usually like a part-time. Was I part-time? Yeah, I was part-time. I was in school. It's like a part-time minimum wage sales associate doing that. So, I had to do ridiculous things like what was the one thing? Like freaking scrubbing the floors, like I'm damn Cinderella, like, but not like the pretty Cinderella, like I was the maid Cinderella. I'm sitting here like, why the hell am I doing this? Like, I don't understand, like, this isn't selling a shoe or whatever. And the thing about retail is the business practices are awful. Like, I know our corporate would freaking come down with a rule, and that would be the way it is, and it was just so stupid, like the most random stuff. Like, we had to start doing bag checks to make sure people weren't stealing. And it's like, I understand why they would do bag checks, to make sure people aren't like putting shoes in their bag and things like that, but it's kind of like an invasion of privacy, and especially because it wasn't even, I don't know, it was just like kind of weird how it all went about. And it was just like one day we come in and it's like, okay, now we're doing bag checks, open up your bag, and I'm just like, here, like, it's just weird, like rules like that, like. And then what's it called, then they came off with a rule. So stupid. Instead of serving the customers properly, because sometimes we don't even have enough sales associates in the store because they cut our hours, you're only allowed to give so many, like, you have a set amount of hours that you're allowed to give to your people. Anyone that goes over that, there's consequences. People get fired. So basically, working over hours was a no-no. So basically, we'd only have 2 people when we really deserve 3, but we didn't have the extra hours to give, that kind of situation. So sometimes we didn't have enough people to help the customers. So basically, in a shoe store, you have your people on the floor, You have like the cash register. If when people don't buy shoes, there's usually a table in the back. You set them on the table. Those are called go backs. You have to take them back. There's, you know, shelves everywhere, almost like a library of shoes, and you have to go put them back, and there's different sections and blah blah blah. That's how it works. So basically our company came down with a rule one day, and they're like, okay, we want one person doing shoes, one person on the register, one person doing go backs, and one person like straightening shelves. Like, do you understand? You want one sales associate to help people? Like, do you understand how ridiculous that is? And you know what's funny is they wanted that on tax-free weekend, which is our busiest weekend. I mean, honestly, that is the weekend where we get the worst reviews because people are just, because we have surveys and things, and people just go online and bash us. There's like, there's not enough people. It's always at that time of year. Because it's true, we don't have enough people, but our corporate still wants us to go by the same rules as we always have, and they wanted us to do that day. Have 2 people on the floor, 1 on the register. I understood the whole people on the floor, 1 on the register, because there's so many people going around, like you need just one person just on the register all day because it gets so crazy. But 1 person in the back, freaking doing what? Putting shoes back? Like, it's kind of one of those things where they're like, oh, well, the shoes need to be back so you can see them. And it's like, as like a sales associate, I know if I'm looking for a shoe and I don't find it back there and there's like a big go back table, I'll go look through it really quick and make sure it's not there, and then I'll go out. Like, it's just kind of common sense. Like, why can't we do that? Like, why do all the shoes have to be back there? Like, you know, and freaking making us get more complaints and just stupid rules like that. It's like, who came up with this? And of course, it's, you know, the thing about retail is it's run by people who've never worked in a place like that a day in their life. You know, people with these degrees who've never really hustled in a retail store and had a corporate coming down on them with these ridiculous rules. Like, you have different percentages, like dollars per transaction, units per transaction, all these percentages you have to make, and if you don't make them, you get like scolded. You know, I know we were running out of supplies all the time, like stuff to clean with and stuff, and we couldn't go buy it ourselves and have the company like pay us back for it. Oh no, we had to order it through the company, and it would take like months to get there. We were out of like sale bags for like a month. You know, you understand how ridiculous that is? Like, you're sitting here coming down with all these rules, like you need to do this, you need to do that, but you can't even send us bags to put the people's stuff in. Like, first of all, that's a huge like advertisement as people are walking through the mall. And like, second of all, it just looks unprofessional. And working in retail is something else. And, you know, working in the mall, it's so expensive because you only get like a 30-minute break. And, you know, the only places around there, the food court, so Chick-fil-A and things like that. So you use like a good majority of your money just spending it on eating on your lunch. And I know sometimes I had to skip lunch because it was just so crazy in there. We were so understaffed, and that's a huge problem in retail, is understaffment, because they're such like penny pinchers about the littlest things, and it ends up backfiring because like the customers aren't getting helped, and you know, they're not the ones that have to sit there and get yelled at. You know, I have gotten yelled at so many times. Not so many times, but like I got yelled at by a pregnant lady because I didn't get the right shoe. I've had kids like hit me in the face. I've had like kids spit on me. Like, we've dealt with some of the worst people. I've had a guy being like, "You're so condescending." I'm just like, what? I'm just asking if you have your receipt. Like, are you kidding me? Like, just, you know, dealing in retail, you got to deal with some of the worst people. You have to like push products on them when they look like they maybe can't really afford it. And I know that's kind of like stereotyping, but it's true. Like, you know, if a kid comes in with like a beat up stroller and that kind of stuff, and I have to sit there and be like, oh, you want these $50 shoes? Like, that's messed up. Like, I should be showing them the sales stuff, which we're not supposed to do first. We can't show them the sales stuff first. We have to show them the new stuff, blah blah blah. And they do that so that way the kid sees all the nice stuff, and they're like, oh my god, mom, get it, you know, throw a tantrum. And then mom's like, I can't afford that, and she doesn't say that to the kid, obviously, but she's like, oh, what about these? And then he doesn't think they're good enough. Like, that's messed up to do that to a family. And we also have to push like our rewards program on people. Like, why does everyone that comes in the store have to like give their information to this freaking corporation? Like, I felt so bad, but we got punished if we didn't meet a certain percentage of signing people up for that or having people use that. Like, every person that walked in the door needed to have a rewards program, or they couldn't leave. That was basically the motto. people that didn't want it, people that didn't need it. You know, they just the corporation wanting like these people's information for God knows what. And honestly, retail is just messed up. Like, honestly, you are so underpaid for what you do. You are the lowest of the low, like, and yet you're held to such a high standard. And, you know, you have to have people spit in your face, and you have to have people, you have to bend over backwards for people. Like, I had to give a $44 pair of shoes away because someone was like, well, I'm gonna call your CEO, and my manager could not have that, so we had to give a $44 pair of shoes away. I'm sitting here like, and it was kind of like one of those situations where you knew the person was lying, like common sense, this person's lying out their ass, but we have to do it anyway. Like, that's so stupid. Yet we have to sit here and get our hours cut and stuff when this person can come in here and freaking lie their ass off and basically get our like half of our paycheck. And it's just ridiculous, honestly. Um, if you can stay out of retail, stay out of it, because although I'm kind of happy I did it because I learned a lot about, you know, really wanting to push for a degree and things like that, something higher, because I couldn't work that my whole life. Like, honestly, my manager, she had her moments where I just couldn't stand her. Honestly, I felt so bad for her because she worked every single day, like 9 to 5, literally, not even 9 to 5. She would work 9 to 8. How late were we open? 9 to 9? Yeah, like either 9 to 8 or 9 to 9, and then Sundays 12 to 6 all the time. She would get one weekend off a month, which would suck because, you know, people come in there and they ask for a manager ain't there, they get pissed, and then you start becoming the person, and people come in there with all these sorts of problems and stories, and you're just kind of like, I don't care. Are you going to buy these shoes or not? Like, and there's just so much, like, like, honestly, it's like a reality show in there. People just talking crap about each other, and it's a hot mess. Moral of the story, stay out of retail if you can, because it's not worth it. Like, your paycheck is not worth some of the stuff you're going to have to deal with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of story time advice video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below, and I'll see you next time here on Makeup by Chelsea. Bye!